Ho ho hello! Thank you for stopping by. My name is Becky and this is Bex Reads, and today is the start of another themed reading vlog for me. I really want to read the Nutcracker by Alexandre Dumas. I have a copy of it. My friend Yami gave it to me last year for Christmas, and I want to read like the original, well, one of the originals. I know E.T.A. Hoffman is the original, but this is like, it's the same story. The guy just pretty much switched some names, which how was he able to do that? Plagiarism much, right? I know nothing about like the original Nutcracker tale. I've read retellings of the Nutcracker, and the first one I read was Midnight in Everwood, which really got me interested in the Nutcracker story because I was just fascinated by that. And then I watched the play version on like Netflix, and it was kind of creepy, I'm not gonna lie. It gave me weird vibes. But since then, I have loved Nutcracker retellings, so I've tried to read more of them. I did get this copy of the Nutcracker, which is not at all like the extent of the actual Nutcracker story, but I liked this version of it, so I keep that. But I am looking forward to reading like one of the original sources of the Nutcracker to see if it can give me more context or anything like that. And then I thought, since I want to read that, I am also going to read a couple other Nutcracker retellings and see which one I like best. Let the magic begin.
Oh, Christmas tree, you stand in splendid beauty. Oh, Christmas tree, you stand in splendid beauty. Your branches green in summer's glow, and evergreen in winter's snow.
I don't feel like I've filmed enough in front of this tree, considering it's Bookmas. I also realized halfway through this Bookmas thing that I should have called it Bexmas next year. I managed to finish reading the Nutcracker. Shit, it's upstairs. Oh, God. Okay, here's an image. I still don't like classic literature. I just don't like the way it's written. It's so wordy and so descriptive. And I just don't like that in books, okay? I don't. I found myself like skim reading some passages until I got to the dialogue because I don't need a whole freaking description of what every corner of a room looks like, you know? I don't. I can fill in the blanks. I know some people need that. I am not one of those people. That's why I do not like descriptive writing. But this gave me some much needed context that I haven't read in like retellings or in like the children's book that I mentioned before. It added a little bit more to the story that I hadn't read or heard through like the play, the ballet, or whatever. So that was nice. But this was just fine. I mean, I wasn't bored reading it, but I wasn't exactly like keyed in and excited about what was happening. I feel like the retellings that I've read are so much better. It's like blasphemy, but they just are. They go into more depth, they add more character growth and insight than this story does. I'm pretty sure this was written for children, so that might explain why. But then again, I don't know shit about classics. It could have been written for adults. I don't freaking know. But this was just fine to me. Also, what is with the child marriage at the end of this book? Spoiler. At the beginning of the book, she's 7.5, and then it's like a year later, they're engaged. 8.5 years old, and this girl is getting engaged to this prince? What the fuck? Like, how is that even acceptable back in whenever era this was written in? Like, who thought that was a good idea? Even for a fantastical children's book, like, why would you write that for children of an 8-year-old being married off to the prince of the Candyland, or what the fuck's it called? Doll Land, or is it Land of the Sweets, or whatever the frick it's called in this book? I can't even remember, but I found that really, really weird. That's probably also why I like the retellings, because in the retellings that I've read, the characters are all adults, and so it makes more sense of how like dark and where the story goes. But yeah, this was just okay, but I gave it 3 stars. I can say that I've read one of the original versions of the Nutcracker, and I still don't like classics. So I think I appreciate what it is, and I appreciate where the retellings get the inspiration from, but I much prefer Nutcracker inspirations to the actual Nutcracker. I still would like to see the Nutcracker ballet, though. I was a ballerina for about 4 years of my life. Wasn't a very graceful ballerina. So I know I can sit through some ballets, but I've never seen like a proper professional ballet performance. I've never been like, ooh, I want to see a professional, but I would like to see the Nutcracker ballet. But I've looked into tickets for it, and they're freaking ridiculous. Like, good seats are like $170 plus. One of these days I'm just gonna have to break down and pay to go see the ballet. But at this point in time, I had this whole idea to like do this vlog and then like go see the Nutcracker ballet. That ain't gonna happen. I'm just gonna tell you that, because that's so expensive for me right now at this point in life. So who knows what kind of B-roll I will throw into this, because God, I hope there's B-roll other than me just updating you about books. Who knows? You might just get an update on the books. I did not plan this video out. It was just a spur of the moment thing. So on to a retelling. I have started reading this Nutcracker retelling, and I'm about 30% into it. From what I gather, this is like taking E.T.A. Hoffman's version, and Mary, I think her name is Mary. She is, or maybe it's Marie in this one. Hell, I can't remember. Jesus. Anyway, she is 18 now, and she has been waiting all of her life for this Nutcracker prince to return and take her back to the Magic Land, whatever the fuck it's called. I can't even remember what it's called. And nobody really believes her when she says that she's experienced these things and like he saved her as a child. They just think she's like, okay, sure, girl. But her brother is a soldier now, and he brings back his friends, and one of the friends that he brings over for a Christmas Eve party reminds her of the Rat King. And they automatically have like this connection, like this spark between them. And she's like, I can't do this. He's the bad guy. And then her godfather's nephew, who is the Nutcracker, shows up. And she's all excited to see him. He came back just as she promised. But then he like runs away and disappears. And she thinks that he kidnapped her niece, Clara, I think. And so she's having to team up with the Rat King to like go to the kingdom and try and find her niece. I am liking where the story's going. I would really like for her to have this romance with this Rat King. I'm kind of digging it. So that's where I am at currently. I will give you an update once I finish this book. I've decided to start reading The Kingdom of Sweets by Erica Johansson, which is a book my cousin actually gave me for Christmas last year. It is a Nutcracker reimagining. I'm also buddy reading this with Laura. So in this, so far, I'm up to chapter 8, and we're following these two sisters, Clara and Natasha, and at birth, they were sort of cursed by their godfather, Drosselmeyer. He made Natasha dark and Clara light. And so Clara is very popular. She's very beautiful. Everybody just gives her what she wants. She's light and sort of brainless, quite honestly. But she's just, you know, the light of people's lives. And then Natasha is the dark one. She's less pretty. People pretty much ignore her. Her family doesn't give her attention. People treat her very badly, but she does have a decent relationship with her sister because they are twins. But she is seen as like the studious, smart one. But in these 8 chapters, she is so negative towards herself, which is something that I don't love. I understand why. They're 17 at this point in the book, and all her life, people have done nothing but insult her, criticize her, laugh at her, mock her. So it's understandable that she would feel bad for herself, but I'm hoping that some character development happens throughout the story and she finds some confidence, because it's just really tiresome to see a character constantly degrade themselves. But it is Christmas Eve finally, and they just opened gifts from their godfather. One was a really creepy clown that he gave to Natasha. The other was a ballerina that he gave to Clara. And then he also gave Clara a small nutcracker. And it was just announced that Clara is engaged to Natasha's crush that she gave her virginity to and she's been in love with. So this poor girl Natasha, she is just she's not having the best life, let me tell you. But I am enjoying it so far. The chapters are pretty short, which I'm enjoying. It feels like I'm flying through this book faster than I normally would. And I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. I didn't read the synopsis or anything like that of this book, so the only thing I knew going in was it was a Nutcracker reimagining. So I don't know what's going to happen. But hopefully I will give you some updates as I read this. I also didn't get much further in my ebook that I'm reading, so I'll update you about one of them next time. I'm on chapter 19 now of Kingdom of Sweets, so I am right there, a little less than halfway through. And on Christmas Eve, they were about to go to bed after Natasha had, found out that her sister was engaged to her crush or whatever, and the clock struck 12, and she somehow got pulled into the Kingdom of Sweets. With her sister. Her sister was holding a nutcracker, and somehow Natasha ended up with them. And this world has been designed for her sister. It's sugary, it's sweet, it's frivolous. And when she gets there, she ends up following her sister in this sleigh with the Nutcracker Prince. And she comes to this castle that is of the Sugar Plum Fairy. And nobody expects her to be there. They all expected her sister to be there, but when she shows up, they don't really know what to do with her. So she is invited inside, and she sees this party going on, and she meets the Sugar Plum Fairy. And this fairy makes a deal with her that she can get her revenge if she strikes a bargain with her. And she's just trying to get her sister out of this place. She wants to make sure they both go back to their real world. But as she is in this castle, things start happening. It's completely made of frosting and sugar, and it just starts decaying. It starts melting, and there's something sinister creeping along the floors, and she escapes, and she ends up in this dollhouse that she had when she was a child. And it turns into this dollhouse that she had always wanted. It's like gray with wood floors, but this dollhouse she had as a child was for her sister. It was pink and girly and frivolous and things like that. And she starts seeing like glimpses of arguments that she had had with her sister that she thought they didn't play out the way she had always thought they did. She has these memories of certain arguments happening, and she's getting glimpses that it was always her sister sabotaging these instances to get her way. And she's starting to really decide to take revenge on her sister. And that's where I'm at now. I really don't like her sister at this point. I don't know if, like, this is a dream she's having, or if she's, like, mentally ill and she's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Like, at this point, it all seems real. It seems like she's gone into this place. But I really don't like her sister, because it seemed like they had a good relationship, but her sister was always doing things and saying things behind her back, and like telling her that she couldn't do this, she couldn't do that because she wasn't pretty, and taking things from her that she wanted. And her parents always favored her sister, and I just really hate her family at this point. Like, I don't know where this story is going, but I hope it ends happily, or somewhat happily, for this girl, because she has not had a good upbringing, let me tell you. There is this boy that works with her godfather, Drosselmeyer. He has some sort of like magical ability as well, because he is the one who made this Nutcracker. And he seems different from all of the other like lost boys that Drosselmeyer like keeps on hand to do his bidding and whatnot. His name is Mikhail, and when she told the Sugar Plum Fairy about this boy, the fairy like got really upset by it. So I don't know what role he's going to play in it. Like, is he the Rat King? Is he the fairy's son? I have questions about that, and I don't really know. I have no idea. Quite frankly. But I am enjoying this story. At this point, when she's in like this confectionery castle and everything's melting, it's sort of like a sinister Willy Wonka. But it does have some darker undertones, and I'm just questioning like where the story's going. Like, is this really happening? Is she dreaming? Is she just mentally unstable and this is a hallucination? Like, what's going on? And, like, good God, could she find a little bit of happiness, please? So, that's where I'm at. I'm probably going to stop for the night, though, and I will pick it up tomorrow, and I'll probably go back to reading this ebook that I was in the middle of as I'm laying in bed tonight. So, I shall see y'all tomorrow and update you later. I look like a damn mess today, but that's because I've been cleaning the house and I'm all sweaty. But I sat down to read a couple more chapters in this. I think I'm now pretty solidly 50% into it. And, some shit went down, that's for sure. I don't know if I should tell you. No, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you what went down. But we are now out of the Kingdom of Sweets. We are back in the real world. And Natasha is getting a new life, let's say. Yeah. Last night, I finally marked this as currently reading on Storygraph, and while I was marking it, I noticed a star rating on this book. It has a 3.2 star rating. I didn't read, like, why, like, reviews of what people thought to give it such a low rating, but that's low. And I want to say I could see where people like maybe don't like the characters, because the characters in this, none of them are really likable. Even our main characters, Natasha and Clara, they're both pretty awful characters. I feel a little bit more sympathetic toward Natasha because she's been dealt such a shit hand at life and nobody seems to care about her, and the things that are said to her and about her are just awful. But she's doing some questionable shit. So it's not like I can even really like her at this point. But I don't know if something has to go down in this latter half of this book for it to get like really bad that people didn't like this book. But I'm enjoying it so far, for the most part. So maybe when I'm done, I'll check out some reviews and see what people have to say. But yeah, shit happened. Today I thought I would share with you my book advent. My sister purchased me a 24-day book advent this year, and I am up to day 12 now. I have been opening these over on my Instagram, on my stories, so you can't really go back and see what I got because I didn't save them. But if you want to see the future books that I get after this vlog comes out, pop on over there and check out my stories. But let's open day 12 and see what I got. I'm thinking this is either going to be a Penelope Douglas book or the second book in Fourth Wing, because I've unwrapped both of those so far. And this is a pretty chunky book, so that's what I'm thinking it's going to be. Oh, it's not. It's Pucking Around. I have heard of this book. I think it's a Y choose, and we all know I don't like those. Plus, why is this book so goddamn thick? There's no reason a hockey romance needs to be this thick, okay? But based on the fact that there's one girl and 3 guys, I'm gonna say it's a Y choose. So this will probably be one that I sell on Pango. No. Your little Toochie Coochie here. You gotta get a bath before Christmas. You're so hairy. This process wouldn't take nearly as long if you weren't so dadgum hairy. Alright, time for shampoo. Oh yes, you're so tortured. There are homeless cats who wish they could be you. Well, why aren't you cleaning your butthole better? I've got too much damn hair. Where are you going? Get your ass over here. Put yourself in a burrito. I finished reading The Kingdom of Sweets, and I am going to give this 3.5 stars. I really liked the first half of this book. It was really intense. It was really dark and kind of violent in parts. I liked the sister dynamic in here, where we have a light sister and a dark sister, and they're at odds with one another. And then when they go into the Kingdom of Sweets, whew, they're at odds really gets amped up, let me tell you. The latter half of this book goes off the rails. I was intrigued for a little bit, and then it started like time jumping. Natasha comes back to the real world and she's getting everything she wants, and then it'll like skip forward 4 months, skip forward a year, skip forward a couple more months. And in those time periods, all she's really doing is living her life, and she'll see like a ghost every now and then or something like that. And then there gets to be some like pagan folklore thrown in here about twins and how they are magical and how that's relating to the sugar plum fairy in this. I also felt like it took a little bit of like Alice in Wonderland vibes at the end, which was kind of weird. And then the ending was just, I guess, a lesson in forgiveness. I guess that's what this book wanted to say, was that people aren't all good, aren't all bad, and we need to forgive, I guess. It was definitely a unique story. It's a standalone, which I appreciate. And I liked several things about this, but overall, the ending just... I wasn't impressed with the ending of it. And it's not one that I see myself rereading because of the latter half of this book. If it would have just stopped at like the halfway point, I would have probably given this like 5 stars and been like, holy shit, that was a dark story. But I think it went on longer than it needed to. I still don't understand why it has such a low rating. I feel like it's a solid 3-star book. I'm going to give it 3.5 stars because I did like a few more aspects to it than I normally would a 3-star read. But I don't care to read why people disliked this book because I think I would just get mad because I enjoyed it. So I'm interested to hear Laura's thoughts on this, see what she thought overall, but it was interesting. And then I also finished reading Sugar and Snow. I literally just finished reading it, so I haven't like unpacked my thoughts on it. But I really liked that this was a relationship between Marie and the Rat King. His name is Dietrich. I liked the dynamics of the curse that is put on him and Drosselmeyer's nephew. Can't remember if it's his godson or his nephew in this one. But I like that curse being explored because it was something that I read about in the original Nutcracker book. And I feel like this definitely took that original Nutcracker and just expanded on it in the future when Marie is an adult. I liked the world that it was set in. It wasn't nearly as dark a world as the Kingdom of Sweets. In this one, she goes into the Kingdom of Dolls, is what it's called, because her niece Clara has been abducted by the Nutcracker and she has to get her back. So when we go into the Kingdom of the Dolls, it's a very much confectionery world as well, but it's not like decaying like it was in the Kingdom of Sweets. This did end in a way where I feel like I could just leave it as this and enjoy the story for what it was. It is part of a series though, and I don't know if I will continue on with this series because right now I'm pretty satisfied with how this one ended. So I might not. I haven't decided yet, but I enjoyed this one overall as well. I think if I had to put them in order of like darkness, it would go Kingdom of Sweets, the actual Nutcracker, and then Sugar and Snow. Out of my enjoyment of them, I'm going to rank them Sugar and Snow, Kingdom of Sweets, and the Nutcracker. I think I liked the Sugar and Snow just a little bit better because it was a lighter tale and it did have that romantic element in it that I like in books. So I enjoyed doing this reading vlog. I have a few more Nutcracker retellings on my Kindle because I have just been craving them ever since I read my first Nutcracker reimagining, which was Midnight Neverwood. That still remains my favorite Nutcracker reimagining, but I am like wanting to read more of them and see how the tale differentiates between authors and such like that. But that's it for this reading vlog. Let me know down in the comments, have you ever read the original Nutcracker? Have you seen the Nutcracker ballet? Would you like to see the Nutcracker? Anything like that. But if you don't want to comment that but would like to let me know you made it to the end of this video, could you leave me either a Nutcracker or a mouse emoji? I don't know if there is a Nutcracker emoji. And with that, thank you so much for watching, and until my next Bookmas video, go read a Nutcracker retelling. Bye!